Welcome to Flavor Street. Thanks for joining this delicious journey. Let's explore new flavors and create tasty memories together. Kjøttkaker, Norwegian meatballs served with potatoes and a rich brown gravy. Often found in food stalls or small restaurants. Kjøttkaker, Norwegian meatballs, are a traditional and hearty dish that can be found in homes and restaurants across Norway. They are typically served with boiled potatoes, rich brown gravy, and sometimes a side of vegetables. Below is a list of the basic ingredients needed to prepare kjøttkaker. Ingredients for kjøttkaker. For the meatballs: ground beef, 500 g, or a mix of beef and pork. Breadcrumbs, half a cup or 50 g. Milk, half a cup, about 120 milliliters. Egg, 1 large egg. Onion, 1 small, finely chopped or grated. Salt, 1 teaspoon. Pepper, 1/2 tsp, black or white. Nutmeg, 1/4 tsp, optional, but it adds a nice flavor. Sugar, 1/4 teaspoon, optional, for sweetness. Butter, for frying, or vegetable oil if preferred. For the brown gravy: butter, 2 tablespoons. Flour, 2 tablespoons, for making the roux. Beef stock, 2 cups, about 500 milliliters. Salt, to taste. Pepper, to taste. Worcestershire sauce, 1 to 2 teaspoons, optional, but adds depth of flavor. Soy sauce, 1 teaspoon, optional, for color and flavor. For the side, optional. Potatoes, boiled or mashed, to serve with the meatballs. Vegetables, like peas, carrots, or cabbage, optional but common for serving. Steps for preparing kjøttkaker. Prepare the meatball mixture. In a large bowl, soak the breadcrumbs in milk for about 5 to 10 minutes to soften them. Add the ground beef and pork if using, egg, finely chopped or grated onion, salt, pepper, nutmeg, and sugar. Mix everything together thoroughly until the mixture is smooth and well combined. Shape the meatballs. Wet your hands slightly to prevent the mixture from sticking. Take portions of the mixture and shape them into large meatballs or flat oval-shaped patties, about 2 to 3 inches in diameter, or to your preference. Fry the meatballs. Heat a little butter or oil in a large frying pan over medium heat. Fry the meatballs in batches, turning them carefully to brown them evenly on all sides. This should take about 5 to 7 minutes for each batch. Once browned, remove them from the pan and set them aside. Make the gravy. In the same pan, with the meatball drippings, melt 2 tablespoons of butter over medium heat. Add the flour to the butter and stir to form a smooth roux. Cook for 1 to 2 minutes, stirring constantly, until the flour begins to turn light brown. Gradually add the beef stock while stirring constantly to avoid lumps. Let the gravy simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes until it thickens to your desired consistency. Add salt, pepper, Worcestershire sauce, and soy sauce to taste. Simmer the meatballs. Once the gravy has thickened, return the meatballs to the pan. Let them simmer in the gravy for another 10 to 15 minutes, until the meatballs are cooked through and have absorbed some of the gravy flavor. Serve. Serve the kjøttkaker hot, with boiled or mashed potatoes, a generous portion of gravy, and optionally a side of vegetables like peas or carrots. Pølse med lompe, hot dog with flatbread, a staple street food throughout Norway. It's a hot dog served in a soft flatbread, often with condiments like ketchup, mustard, and onions. Pølse med lompe is a classic and beloved street food in Norway, typically consisting of a hot dog, pølse, served in a soft flatbread, lompe, and it's commonly enjoyed with various condiments. It's a simple yet satisfying dish that you'll find at food stands, kiosks, and festivals across Norway. Here's a breakdown of the ingredients and how to prepare pølse med lompe. Ingredients for pølse med lompe. For the hot dog, pølse. Norwegian hot dogs, pølse, 1 to 2 sausages per serving. You can use regular sausages or, ideally, wienerpølse, which is a traditional Norwegian-style hot dog. Lompe, soft flatbread, 1 piece per hot dog, similar to a soft pita bread or thin tortilla. It's a traditional flatbread used for serving hot dogs in Norway. For the toppings/condiments. Ketchup, 1 to 2 tablespoons, or more if preferred. Mustard, 1 to 2 teaspoons. You can use yellow mustard or spicy mustard, depending on your preference. Crispy fried onions, optional, adds crunch and flavor. Pickled cucumbers, thinly sliced, optional. Relish, optional, sweet or dill relish, if preferred. Grilled onions, caramelized or sautéed onions, a common addition. Sauerkraut, optional, pickled cabbage for a sour contrast. Potato salad, optional, sometimes served as a side dish, not directly in the wrap but can complement the meal. Steps to prepare Pølse med lompe. Cook the hot dog. Bring a pot of water to a simmer. Once it's hot, add the hot dogs, pølse, and let them heat up for 4 to 5 minutes, or follow the instructions on the package. Alternatively, you can grill or pan-fry the sausages for added flavor. Prepare the lompe. If your lompe is store-bought, it's usually soft enough to use as is. You can warm it slightly in the microwave, 10 to 15 seconds, or heat it on a dry pan for a few seconds to make it more pliable. If it's not soft, you may want to heat it gently so it can wrap around the sausage easily. Assemble the Pølse med lompe. Lay the warmed lompe flat on a clean surface or plate. Place the cooked hot dog, pølse, on the center of the lompe. Add the condiments. Squeeze a small amount of ketchup and mustard over the sausage. Adjust to taste. Add any additional toppings such as crispy fried onions, pickled cucumbers, relish, or sauerkraut if you like. Wrap and serve. Gently fold the lompe around the hot dog, enclosing it, so you can hold it comfortably in your hand. Serve hot, and enjoy. Koldtbord Smørbrød, open sandwich, an open-faced sandwich with various toppings like cured meats, cheese, fish, or egg. Koldtbord Smørbrød is a classic Norwegian open-faced sandwich, often served as part of a koldtbord, cold table, spread, which features a variety of cold cuts, cheeses, breads, and salads. Smørbrød is typically served with various toppings on rye bread, dark bread, or white bread, making it a versatile dish for breakfast, lunch, or as part of a buffet. It's a dish that reflects the simplicity and freshness of Scandinavian cuisine. Ingredients for Koldtbord Smørbrød. For the bread. Rye bread, rugbrød, dark, dense, and slightly sour. Rye bread is the most common bread used for smørbrød. It's hearty and can hold a variety of toppings without getting soggy. White bread, soft loaf bread. Alternatively, you can use soft, sliced white bread for a lighter version of smørbrød. For the toppings. Cold cuts, skink, salami, roast beef, or smoked ham, thinly sliced cured meats. These are essential to a traditional Norwegian smørbrød. Cheese. Norwegian cheese options include Jarlsberg, Norvegia, or Gulost, a mild yellow cheese, but you can also use any cheese you prefer. Hard-boiled eggs, sliced or halved, eggs add protein and richness to the sandwich. Smoked salmon, gravlax, a classic Norwegian topping. Gravlax, cured salmon, is often added to open-faced sandwiches for a burst of flavor. Pickled herring, a traditional Scandinavian topping. Pickled herring can be served in various flavors like mustard or vinegar-based brine. Lettuce, fresh lettuce, such as iceberg or romaine, is often used as a base layer to keep the bread fresh and provide crunch. Cucumber, thinly sliced cucumber adds freshness and texture. Tomato, sliced tomatoes, often placed on top of the cold cuts, provide juiciness and color. Red onion, thin slices of red onion are commonly used to give a sharp, slightly sweet flavor. Beetroot, sliced beetroot is another common topping, especially for its color and earthy flavor. Olives, both green and black olives are common toppings for smørbrød. Mayonnaise, a little spread of mayo can be used under the toppings or as a binder. Butter, butter is commonly spread on the bread before adding the toppings, adding richness to the sandwich. Capers, for an extra touch of brine, capers can be added to dishes with smoked fish like salmon. Optional garnishes. Chives, chopped chives or fresh herbs to sprinkle on top. Lemon wedges, often served with smoked salmon or herring. Dill, a classic herb for pairing with seafood like salmon and herring. Steps to prepare Koldtbord Smørbrød. Prepare the bread. Start by slicing your bread, either rye or white, into individual serving sizes. Each piece should be large enough to hold several toppings comfortably. Lightly butter the bread if desired. This adds richness and helps keep the bread from becoming soggy when you add wet ingredients like cucumber or tomato. Add the base layer. If you're using lettuce, place a layer of fresh lettuce on the bread first. This adds a bit of crunch and acts as a barrier to absorb moisture from other toppings. For a more classic version, simply start with a thin layer of butter. Add the protein toppings. Layer on your cold cuts, like ham, roast beef, or salami. These will form the heart of the sandwich. If you're using smoked salmon or pickled herring, add these on top of the cold cuts for an extra burst of flavor. Add cheese. Place a slice of your preferred cheese on top of the meat or directly on the bread, depending on your preference. Add vegetables and garnishes. Place thin slices of cucumber, tomato, and red onion on top of the cold cuts and cheese. Add any optional garnishes like chives, olives, or beetroot slices. Finish with condiments. If you like, top off the sandwich with a dollop of mayonnaise or a drizzle of mustard. You can also squeeze a little lemon juice over smoked salmon or pickled herring for extra zing. Serve. Serve the smørbrød open-faced, and if you're preparing a koldtbord, arrange various open sandwiches on a large platter so that guests can choose their favorite combinations. Stekt Laks, fried salmon, local salmon, fried and served as a sandwich or in a wrap with fresh veggies. Stekt Laks is a simple and delicious Norwegian dish that features pan-fried salmon. The salmon is typically seasoned lightly, allowing the natural flavor of the fish to shine. It's a popular choice for both home cooks and in restaurants, often served with boiled potatoes, vegetables, and a buttery sauce. Here's a step-by-step guide to making Stekt Laks, pan-fried salmon. Ingredients for Stekt Laks. For the salmon. Salmon fillets, 2 pieces, about 180-250 g each, skin on or skinless. Skin on gives extra flavor and crispy texture. Butter, 2 tablespoons, or use a mix of butter and olive oil for frying. Olive oil, 1 tablespoon, optional, if you want a higher smoke point. Salt, to taste. Black pepper, freshly ground, to taste. Lemon juice, 1 to 2 teaspoons, optional, for a bit of tang. Fresh dill or parsley, chopped, for garnish. Lemon wedges, for serving, optional. For the sauce, optional but recommended. Butter, 2 tablespoons, for a richer sauce. Cream, 1/4 cup, 60 milliliters, or use sour cream for a tangy twist. Lemon juice, 1 to 2 teaspoons. Dill, fresh, chopped, or thyme if preferred. Salt and pepper, to taste. Steps to prepare Stekt Laks. Prepare the salmon. Pat the salmon fillets dry with a paper towel to ensure a crispier sear. Season both sides of the salmon with salt and black pepper. You can also drizzle a little lemon juice over the fish for extra flavor. Heat the pan. Heat a non-stick or cast iron skillet over medium-high heat. Add butter and let it melt, or use a combination of butter and olive oil for better browning and flavor. Once the butter has melted and is bubbling, but not browning, the pan is ready for the fish. Pan-fry the salmon. Place the salmon fillets in the pan, skin side down if you're using skin-on salmon. Press down gently for a few seconds to ensure even contact with the pan. Fry the salmon for about 4 to 6 minutes on the first side, depending on the thickness of the fillets. The salmon should form a golden crust and release easily from the pan when it's ready to flip. Flip the fillets carefully using a spatula and cook for an additional 3 to 4 minutes on the other side. If you prefer your salmon a little more cooked through, you can leave it for a minute or 2 longer. If using skinless fillets, be more careful when flipping, as the fillets can break apart more easily. Optional, make a creamy sauce. While the salmon is cooking, you can make a quick, creamy sauce in the same pan, for extra flavor. After removing the salmon, leave any residual butter and juices in the pan. Add 2 tablespoons of butter and let it melt. Then, stir in a 1/4 cup of cream, or sour cream for a tangier flavor. Let it simmer for a minute or 2 to thicken slightly. Season with salt, pepper, and a squeeze of lemon juice. Add chopped dill or parsley and stir it in. Pour the sauce over the cooked salmon just before serving. Serve. Place the cooked salmon fillets on a plate. Garnish with freshly chopped dill or parsley. Serve with lemon wedges on the side for an extra burst of citrus. Accompany the salmon with traditional Norwegian sides like boiled potatoes, mashed potatoes, or vegetables, e.g., peas, carrots, or sautéed spinach. Crab, fresh local crabs, often served boiled with butter or in a sandwich. Crab, Norwegian crab, refers to various species of crabs found along the Norwegian coast, with king crab and brown crab being the most notable varieties. In Norway, crabs are a sought-after delicacy, often enjoyed as a luxurious treat. Whether served simply boiled with butter or used in salads, crab dishes are popular throughout the country, especially in the coastal regions. Here's a basic recipe and guide on how to prepare crab, with an emphasis on the most commonly enjoyed method, boiled crab served with butter. Ingredients for crab, boiled crab. For the crab: fresh crab, king crab or brown crab, typically, 1 large king crab leg or 1 to 2 smaller crabs per person. King crab, known for its large, meaty legs. Brown crab, smaller than king crab, but with a delicious sweet meat. For boiling: water, enough to cover the crab. Salt, 2 to 3 tablespoons, this helps to season the crab. Lemon, 1 to 2 slices, optional, for adding a citrusy flavor to the water. Bay leaves, 2 to 3, optional, for added aroma. For the butter sauce: butter, 100-150 g, for dipping, or melted to pour over the crab. Garlic, 1 to 2 cloves, minced, for flavor. Lemon juice, from 1/2 a lemon, to add a fresh, tangy note. Parsley, a small handful of fresh parsley, chopped, optional, for garnish. Salt and pepper, to taste. Steps to prepare crab, boiled crab. Prepare the crab. If using fresh crab, make sure it's alive before cooking. King crabs are often sold pre-cooked in many parts of the world, so check if your crab is fresh or already pre-cooked. Thaw frozen crab if necessary. Simply place it in the refrigerator overnight or use cold water for a quicker thaw. Boil the crab. In a large pot, bring water to a boil. Add salt, bay leaves, and lemon slices to the water. Once the water is boiling, carefully add the crabs. If you're boiling whole crabs, be sure to submerge them completely. If you're boiling legs, you can simply add them to the water. Reduce the heat to medium-high, and let the crabs cook. Depending on size. King crab legs, cook for 7 to 10 minutes if pre-cooked, or 10 to 15 minutes if raw. Brown crab, typically, it takes around 15 to 20 minutes to cook. The crab is done when it turns a bright orange or red color. Make the garlic butter sauce, optional. While the crab is boiling, prepare the dipping sauce. In a small saucepan, melt butter over low heat. Add the minced garlic and sauté for 1 to 2 minutes until fragrant, but be careful not to burn the garlic. Stir in lemon juice and a pinch of salt and pepper. Add freshly chopped parsley if desired for extra color and flavor. Keep the butter warm while the crab finishes cooking. Serve the crab. Once the crab is cooked, carefully remove it from the pot using tongs or a slotted spoon. Place the crab on a large platter or individual plates. If you cooked whole crabs, crack the claws and legs using a crab cracker or a mallet. Use a small fork to pull the meat out of the shell. Serve the crab with the garlic butter sauce on the side for dipping. You can also serve lemon wedges for an extra burst of freshness. Garnish with additional parsley if desired. Biff, steak sandwich, a sandwich or wrap filled with grilled steak, served with lettuce, tomato, and sauce. Biff is the Norwegian word for steak, and in Norway, it refers to a hearty, flavorful piece of beef, often grilled, pan-fried, or roasted. Steaks are typically enjoyed with classic Norwegian side dishes like boiled potatoes, sautéed vegetables, gravy, or lingonberry sauce. A simple, well-cooked biff is a true comfort food, often served during family dinners or festive occasions. Here's a guide to preparing a traditional biff in Norwegian style. Ingredients for Norwegian biff, steak. For the steak. Beef steak, 2 steaks, about 180-250 g each. Common choices include sirloin, entrecote, tender, flavorful, and with a good balance of fat. Ribeye, indrefilet, a more marbled cut with a rich, buttery texture. Filet mignon, very tender, but less flavorful compared to other cuts. T-bone, a classic cut, offering both a sirloin and a tenderloin portion. Butter, 2 tablespoons for frying, you can also use olive oil. Olive oil, 1 tablespoon, optional, for frying if preferred over butter. Salt, to taste. Black pepper, freshly ground, to taste. Garlic, 1 to 2 cloves, crushed, optional, for extra flavor. Thyme or rosemary, a few sprigs for aromatic flavor, optional. For the sauce, optional. Butter, 2 tablespoons for making a rich sauce. Beef stock, 1 cup, about 250 milliliters. Heavy cream, a quarter cup, 60 milliliters, for a creamy, rich sauce, optional. Dijon mustard, 1 teaspoon for flavor. Worcestershire sauce, 1 teaspoon for depth of flavor, optional. Red wine, a quarter cup, optional, for a wine reduction sauce. Chopped parsley, a handful, for garnish. 4 sides. Boiled potatoes or mashed potatoes, traditional sides. Gravy, made from the pan drippings. Sautéed vegetables, such as carrots, peas, or cabbage. Lingonberry sauce, for a touch of sweetness, optional, but common in Norway. Steps to prepare Norwegian biff, steak. Prepare the steak. Take the steaks out of the refrigerator 30 minutes before cooking to bring them to room temperature. This ensures even cooking. Pat the steaks dry with a paper towel to remove excess moisture. This helps achieve a better sear. Season generously with salt and freshly ground black pepper on both sides. Optionally, you can rub a bit of crushed garlic and fresh herbs like rosemary or thyme on the steaks for additional flavor. Sear the steak. Heat a large skillet or cast iron pan over medium-high heat. Add butter and a bit of olive oil, if desired, and let it melt. Once the butter is sizzling and slightly browned, carefully place the steaks in the pan. Don't overcrowd the pan. If you're cooking multiple steaks, do it in batches. Cook the steak for 3 to 5 minutes on each side for a medium-rare steak. Adjust the time depending on the thickness of the steak and your desired level of doneness. Rare, 2 to 3 minutes per side. Medium rare, 3 to 4 minutes per side. Medium, 5 to 6 minutes per side. Well done, 7 to 8 minutes per side. For an extra boost of flavor, crush a garlic clove and add some thyme or rosemary to the pan during the last minute of cooking. Spoon the melted butter over the steak for additional flavor. Rest the steak. Once the steak is cooked to your liking, remove it from the pan and transfer it to a plate. Let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes to allow the juices to redistribute. This step is key for a tender steak. Make the sauce, optional. In the same pan where you cooked the steak, with the flavorful browned bits, melt 2 tablespoons of butter over medium heat. Add beef stock and bring it to a simmer. Let it reduce by half to concentrate the flavor. Optionally, add heavy cream for a creamy sauce, along with a teaspoon of Dijon mustard for tang, and a dash of Worcestershire sauce. If you want to add a rich touch, you can deglaze the pan with red wine and let it cook down. Taste and adjust seasoning with salt and pepper. Pour the sauce over the rested steaks before serving, or serve on the side. Serve. Plate the steaks and drizzle with the sauce. Garnish with freshly chopped parsley for a bit of color and freshness. Serve with boiled potatoes, mashed potatoes, or sautéed vegetables like carrots, peas, or cabbage. A dollop of lingonberry sauce can also complement the savory flavors, offering a sweet contrast. Brunost, brown cheese, a Norwegian specialty. This brown cheese is often sliced thin and served with bread or crackers, commonly sold at local food markets. Brunost, literally brown cheese, in Norwegian, is a traditional Norwegian cheese that's made from whey, a byproduct of cheese production. It is known for its distinctive brown color, slightly sweet flavor, and firm texture. Brunost is a key part of Norwegian culinary culture, often enjoyed on bread, waffles, or in various savory dishes. What is brunost? Brunost is made by boiling whey, typically from cow's milk, but it can also be made from goat's milk or a mix of both. The boiling process causes the milk sugars to caramelize, giving the cheese its characteristic brown color and sweet, slightly tangy flavor. The cheese is then pressed into molds and left to solidify into a firm block or wedge. Types of brunost. Gudbrandsdalsost, the most famous type of brunost, made from cow's whey. It has a smooth texture and mild, sweet flavor. Geitost, made from goat's milk. Geitost is slightly sharper and more tangy than cow's whey brunost. It's often darker and richer in flavor. Kveitost, a less common variety made from cow's milk but has a firmer texture and is lighter in color. Poultost, another Norwegian cheese made from sour milk and whey, although it's more crumbly and has a more pungent flavor. How to use brunost. Brunost is quite versatile and can be enjoyed in many ways. Here are some common ways to enjoy this delicious Norwegian cheese. On bread, smørbrød. Traditional Norwegian breakfast. A classic Norwegian way to enjoy brunost is on a slice of rye bread, flatbread, or crispy crackers. Simply spread a thin slice of brunost on your bread, or use a cheese slicer to make thin, delicate slices. It can also be paired with butter before adding the cheese for a richer flavor. On waffles, vafler. Another very popular way to eat brunost is to serve it on traditional Norwegian waffles. Norwegians often enjoy waffles with brunost, along with a dollop of sour cream or jam. In cooking, brunost is also used in various dishes. It can be incorporated into sauces, soups, or even used to add richness and sweetness to stews or meat dishes. For example, brunost sauce can be made by melting the cheese into cream and using it as a topping for potatoes or meat dishes. With fruit. Brunost can also be paired with fruit like apples, pears, or berries. The sweetness of the cheese complements the fresh, tart flavors of fruit, creating a perfect balance. On Norwegian pancakes, koldtbord. It is commonly served as part of a koldtbord, cold buffet, where various cheeses, cold cuts, bread, and condiments are laid out for easy snacking. How to make brunost at home. While it's a bit challenging to replicate traditional brunost at home without whey from cheese production, you can try making a simplified version. Here's how. Ingredients. Whey, fresh, if possible. You can sometimes find it at specialty stores, or use milk and cream as a substitute. Sugar, 2 tablespoons, optional, for sweetness. Butter, 2 tablespoons, for richness. Salt, 1/2 tsp. Steps to make brunost. Boil the whey. If you're using fresh whey, place it in a large pot over medium heat. Bring it to a boil and simmer for 1 to 2 hours, stirring occasionally. This process caramelizes the sugars and evaporates the liquid, leaving you with a thicker consistency. The longer you cook it, the richer the flavor will be. Add sugar and butter, optional. After boiling, you can add a little sugar for sweetness and butter for richness if desired. These ingredients help achieve the characteristic smooth texture and balance the flavors. Simmer until thick. Continue cooking the mixture until it reduces to a thick, spreadable consistency, similar to caramel or toffee. You'll notice it turning a brown color as it cooks. Cool and mold. Once it reaches the desired consistency, pour it into a mold or a shallow dish to cool and solidify. It will become firm once it cools down, and you'll have a homemade version of Brunost. Laksesushi, salmon sushi, sushi featuring fresh local salmon, sometimes served with a Nordic twist, such as a sour cream dressing. Laksesushi, salmon sushi, is a popular variation of sushi made with fresh salmon as the star ingredient. In Norway, salmon is a key component of the national cuisine, and it is often used in sushi, especially in the form of nigiri, a slice of fish on top of vinegared rice, or maki, sushi rolls. The creamy texture and delicate flavor of salmon pair beautifully with the slightly tangy, vinegary sushi rice, making laksesushi a favorite among sushi lovers. Here's a simple and delicious recipe to make laksesushi at home. Ingredients for laksesushi. For the sushi rice, sherry. Sushi rice, 2 cups, short grain or medium grain rice is ideal. Water, 2½ cups, for cooking the rice. Rice vinegar, 3 tablespoons. Sugar, 2 tablespoons. Salt, 1 teaspoon. For the toppings. Fresh salmon, 200-300 g, sashimi grade, sushi grade, or fresh Norwegian salmon. Ensure the salmon is fresh and sashimi grade for safe consumption raw. Wasabi, to taste, optional, for serving. Soy sauce, for dipping. Pickled ginger, for serving. Sesame seeds, optional, for garnish. Cucumber, optional, thin slices, for added crunch. Avocado, optional, thin slices, for creaminess. Chives or green onions, optional, for garnish. For the maki rolls, if making rolls. Nori sheets, seaweed, 4 to 5 sheets. Soy sauce, for dipping. Steps to make laksesushi. Prepare the sushi rice, sherry. Rinse the rice. Start by washing the sushi rice under cold water until the water runs clear. This helps remove excess starch and prevents the rice from becoming too sticky. Cook the rice, in a rice cooker or on the stove. Cook the rice with 2½ cups of water. Follow the rice cooker instructions, or if cooking on the stove, bring the rice and water to a boil, then reduce the heat to low, cover, and simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes until the rice is cooked. Season the rice. While the rice is cooking, combine rice vinegar, sugar, and salt in a small bowl and microwave for 20 to 30 seconds, or until the sugar and salt dissolve. Once the rice is done cooking, transfer it to a large bowl and gently fold in the vinegar mixture using a wooden spatula or rice paddle. Cool the rice. Allow the rice to cool to room temperature. It's important that the rice isn't too hot when making sushi. Prepare the salmon. Slice the salmon, using a sharp knife. Slice the fresh salmon against the grain into thin slices about 1/4 inch thick. The salmon slices should be long and wide enough to cover the top of the rice. Optional, you can marinate the salmon in a small amount of soy sauce and a splash of sesame oil for added flavor, or you can leave it fresh. Assemble the laksesushi, nigiri style. Form the rice balls. Wet your hands with a small amount of water, to prevent sticking, and take about 1 tablespoon of cooled sushi rice. Gently press and shape it into a small, oval mound, pressing lightly to compact the rice but not too hard. Add the salmon. Place a slice of salmon on top of the rice ball. You can optionally add a small dab of wasabi under the salmon for a bit of heat, or top with a small sliver of avocado or cucumber for extra texture and flavor. Garnish. You can sprinkle some sesame seeds or chopped green onions on top for garnish, if desired. Assemble the laksesushi rolls, maki style, optional. Prepare the sushi mat. Lay a bamboo sushi rolling mat on a flat surface. Place a sheet of nori, shiny side down, on the mat. Spread the rice. Wet your fingers to prevent the rice from sticking and spread a thin layer of sushi rice evenly over the nori, leaving about 1 inch at the top edge of the sheet. Add fillings. Place slices of salmon, cucumber, and avocado along the bottom edge of the rice. Roll the sushi. Gently lift the sushi mat from the bottom edge, and roll the sushi away from you, using the mat to keep it tightly rolled. Seal the edge of the nori with a little water. Slice the roll, using a sharp knife. Slice the roll into 6 to 8 pieces, wiping the knife with a wet cloth between each cut to keep it clean. Serve. Arrange your Laksesushi on a plate. Serve with soy sauce, pickled ginger, and wasabi on the side for dipping. If you made maki rolls, serve them in bite-sized pieces with soy sauce for dipping.